More than ever, scientific work is linked to the publication of findings. The pressure to publish is increasing, and with it, the danger of falling for the dubious machinations of predatory publishers. Leonhard Dobusch has addressed this problem. Scientific journals today are mostly consumed online. Many articles are open access and therefore freely accessible. In the past, the costs of publication were paid for by subscription fees in libraries, whereas today the authors of articles or their institutions pay directly.
This new business model has led to a new class of journals, or I'd rather say journals in quotation marks, because they don't even seek to provide a platform for serious scientific publications, but rather they want to make a quick buck by accepting any article that's sent to them without proper peer review or any scientific evaluation.
Peer review is the name of an established process of quality assurance. In the case of serious journals, the articles submitted are scientifically and anonymously reviewed by commissioned experts before publication.
Articles are peer-reviewed, so other competent researchers in a certain field, they read anonymous versions of these articles and they give reviews, they give their feedback, and researchers are then invited to revise and resubmit their papers so that they are more accurate and better aligned with the state of the art in their discipline.
Predatory journals skim off the article processing charges, but scientific reviews are not produced and articles are published on platforms without evaluation by peers. In the management sector, there are 600 to 800 such predatory journals. In all scientific disciplines, there are thousands.
So, for example, the natural sciences and an increasing number of social sciences, here you find a lot of also predatory journals. In other disciplines, such as the humanities, for example, that are much more based on books and publishing books in esteemed publishing houses, their predatory journals are not such big of a problem by now.
Publications are the currency of science, and often the opinion, the more the merrier, applies. However, the number of articles in renowned journals is limited. The rejection rate can be up to 90%.
There are several reasons why researchers might submit their output, their articles, to not very established or even fake journals. One reason might be that they are junior scholars that don't really are experienced enough to distinguish between established and questionable journals. Another reason might be that authors from not very reputable organizations, from institutions in countries that lack substantial funding, they just need to prove that their article has appeared in a journal that claims to be peer-reviewed, and the quality or reputation of the journal is not so important. And finally, nowadays, a lot of researchers, they are content if their article is published and indexed by Google Scholars so that it can be found, and they don't really care about the outlet. The only importance for them is that the article is published somewhere.
While poor scientific work usually goes unnoticed among experts, serious research can get lost in predatory journals because nobody reads it there. Research money also ends up in dark channels. And there is the danger that dubious science will not be recognized as such by laymen and journalists during research and will then have an impact on society.
They might be inclined to take and report on research results that have not been subject to proper peer review evaluation. And so this might help to spread fake news. So fake journals might contribute to fake news in journalism. And related to this problem is that people with questionable motives might also use such predatory journals to get their questionable theories, maybe questionable medical procedures or something like that, give them the stamp of peer review and in such a way scientific credibility, and so to some degree engage in science washing, so to speak, by using these predatory journals. Predatory journals and fake journals publishing anything without proper peer review, they constitute a challenge for the credibility of science and research and academia, particularly in times where there's a lot of skepticism towards university research and established research institutions anyway.
For Dobusch, the solution lies in more transparency. A more open approach to the peer review process at established journals could put a stop to predatory publishers.
I think an antidote for this problem of predatory journals or fake journals would be if established, reputable and also highly visible journals, if they started to make their own peer review process much more transparent. If you would at least, for example, publish the review reports of the peer reviewers, then anyone could check how substantial their suggestions had been. And this would, of course, be impossible for fake journals to match, because they are not conducting a similar kind of peer review process.
Recognized scientific journals are already beginning to rethink. However, there is still a long way to go, as another example shows. Dobusch was turned down by the publisher of a renowned business journal with the idea of open peer review. Apparently, there were reservations there about setting an example. However, the corresponding report should nevertheless be published, but on an independent platform.